I've dealt with pushy people before, but nothing prepared me for the day Karen demanded my car like it belonged to her. She stood in the middle of the street, hands on her hips, blocking my driveway as though she owned the whole neighborhood. "You need to hand over those keys," she barked, pointing at my car, a modest but well-kept black SUV I'd worked hard to buy. This community doesn't allow residents to park luxury vehicles outside their garages. HOA rules. And if you don't cooperate, I'll call the police. I almost laughed at first, because it sounded so ridiculous. My car wasn't some exotic sports car, just a 5-year-old SUV. And I knew the HOA bylaws inside and out, there was no such rule. But Karen wasn't joking. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. "Give me the car, or I'll make sure you regret living here." I took a step back, trying to keep my temper in check. "Karen, you're not taking my car. And you certainly don't have the authority to demand it." Her face flushed red. "Oh, I do. You'll see. I'm calling the cops right now." With that, she pulled out her phone, dialing with exaggerated movements like she wanted the whole neighborhood to witness her little performance. A few curtains twitched as curious neighbors peeked out. Karen loved an audience. That night, my wife, Emily, shook her head as I told her what happened. "She's out of control, Mark," she said softly. "She's not going to stop. You need to be careful." "I know," I replied, rubbing my temples. But she picked the wrong person to push. The next day, I found a bright orange violation notice taped to my front door. "Illegal parking, immediate action required." The fine? $200. No signature, no explanation, just Karen's handwriting scrawled across the bottom. I crumpled it in my fist. Enough was enough. Later that week, Karen escalated again. I was unloading groceries when she marched across the street, her phone already recording. "This car is illegally parked," she declared loudly, making sure her camera caught my face. "You're a rule breaker, and the whole neighborhood deserves to know it." "Karen, put your phone away," I said, struggling to keep my voice even. "Oh no," she sneered. "I'm gathering evidence. When the police get here, they'll side with me." "You think you're above the rules? Think again." Sure enough, a police cruiser rolled into the street minutes later. Karen waved her arms like she was directing traffic, pointing at me, shouting, "That's him. That's the one breaking the law." My stomach tightened. This was exactly what she wanted, a public scene, humiliation, fear. Neighbors stepped onto their porches, whispering, watching. The officer stepped out of his car, calm and professional. "Sir, is this your vehicle?" "Yes, officer," I said. "It's parked in my own driveway." Karen cut in, shoving her phone toward him. "He's lying. HOA rules state no luxury vehicles outside. He's in violation, and I demand you tow it away immediately." The officer raised an eyebrow but kept his focus on me. "Do you have any documentation, sir?" I looked Karen dead in the eye, then slowly reached into my wallet. My fingers brushed the leather badge case I hadn't needed to flash in months. The one detail Karen didn't know, I was a detective with the county sheriff's office. At that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to clear my name. I was going to put an end to Karen's games, and make sure she'd never use the police as her personal weapon again. But first, I let the moment hang in the air, building the tension. Neighbors leaned forward. Karen smirked, certain she had me cornered. She had no idea what was about to happen. I held the badge in my hand for a moment before opening the case. The officer's eyes flicked down, recognition flashing instantly. His posture shifted, respectful. Karen, on the other hand, was still ranting. "Don't just stand there, tow his car." "He's violating," the officer raised his hand, cutting her off. "Ma'am, you need to calm down. This man isn't in violation of any law." Karen blinked. "What? Of course he is." "HOA rules, ma'am," the officer said firmly. "HOA rules are not enforceable by police." And more importantly, he nodded toward my badge, Detective Harrison here knows the law better than anyone." Silence fell across the street. The neighbors froze, stunned. Karen's smirk vanished as though someone had pulled the ground out from under her. I finally spoke, my voice calm but edged with steel. "You called the police to harass me, Karen. You tried to misuse law enforcement as your personal hammer. That ends today." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. For once, she had no script prepared. The officer straightened. "Ma'am, if you continue filing false reports, you could face charges." "Do I make myself clear?" Karen stammered. I didn't. I was just trying to." He cut her off again, this time sharper. "Do I make myself clear?" She swallowed hard. "Why, yes." The officer turned to me. "Detective, let us know if she keeps this up." "We'll handle it." I nodded. "Appreciate it." When the cruiser rolled away, the crowd of neighbors that had gathered started to murmur. Some smiled. Others gave me discreet nods of approval. Old Mr. Jenkins from 2 doors down chuckled loudly. "Well, Karen, looks like you picked the wrong neighbor to mess with." That night, Karen didn't step outside once. Her porch light stayed off. But I wasn't finished. The next week, I filed a formal complaint with the HOA board about her abuse of power and harassment. As a detective, I worded it carefully, citing both the bylaws and her misuse of law enforcement. I attached statements from neighbors who had witnessed the scene. At the monthly HOA meeting, the complaint was read aloud. Karen tried to defend herself, but the room erupted. "You embarrassed the entire neighborhood," one man shouted. "You wasted our feast chasing personal vendettas," another added. Even the board president shook his head. "Karen, this is serious. You've put us at risk of legal liability. You can't weaponize the HOA like this." Her face turned crimson. She tried to glare at me across the room, but the glare had lost all its power. The tide had turned. By the end of the night, the board voted to remove her from any enforcement duties. She wasn't stripped of membership, but her reign of intimidation was over. Emily squeezed my hand as we walked home. "You handled that with dignity," she whispered. I nodded. Sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting louder. It's letting the truth cut deeper than their lies. From that day on, Karen kept her distance. She still lived across the street, but she avoided eye contact. The orange violation notices disappeared. No more threats, no more rants. Just silence. And in that silence, the neighborhood breathed easier. People waved again. Kids played in the street without her barking complaints. It was like a fog had lifted. I often think back to that moment with the badge. I didn't flash it to show power. I flashed it to show her that her games had limits, and that the law wasn't hers to twist. So if you're watching this, let me leave you with this: bullies thrive on fear and silence. The moment you stand tall and expose them for what they are, their power crumbles. And if you enjoy stories where justice finally catches up to people who abuse it, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more real-life tales where the tables turn, and trust me, the best ones are still to come. As for me, I drive my SUV proudly, parked right in my driveway. Every time I see Karen peek through her curtains, I smile. She once demanded my car, now she can't even demand my attention. Justice, it turns out, drives better than any luxury vehicle.